Hey everyone, this is Rex. Welcome back to the kingdom. I'm going to be going over the 5th Chardock Artisan task in the Empires of Cunark expansion for Everquest. It's going to be a walkthrough and guide. Hope you enjoy. Don't forget to hit that like button. Be safe. Level 31 enchanters get their next pet, Ultron's Animation, which is their summon pet for 175 mana. Unless you're relying on charm only, I definitely suggest getting this. Greater shielding is your self HP buff. Unless you're grouping with a shaman all the time, I strongly recommend getting this. Then the next spell is Radiant Visage. Increases your charisma by 30. This is, it is up for debate. It is pretty well documented that it does help with charm and even landing a mez. So this is a required spell. Anarchy is at level 32, decreases current hit points by 275 and stuns the NPC for 1 second for 99 mana. This is also a required spell. It's your next upgrade in your direct damage spells. Cast Sight is a bind sight and Ultra Vision for 45 mana. You could get this if you want, but it is not required and not really needed and not really useful. Enchant platinum spells are only useful if you do trade skills and make plat by making enchanted jewelry. That will be up to what you decide to do. Level 33, you get Illusion Fire Elemental. This is personal preference if you want the illusions or not. Rune 3, absorb 100% of all damage until 230 damage is absorbed for 149 mana. This isn't a bad spell. It does still take a component, but it is getting a little bit better. But there are still better spells you can get, but it isn't a bad spell to get. Insipid Weakness at level 34 is the only spell. Decreases strength by 51 for 80 mana. This is a very good spell, and I do recommend getting this for named mobs. Insight increases your wisdom by 14 and intelligence by 12 for 125 mana. This is a required spell. It will go along with clarity just great until Key comes out at level 60. Invoke Fear up to level 52. Basically useless for enchanters, but you can get it if you choose. Pacify, decrease aggro radius to 1 up to level 55, and social radius to 1 up to level 55 for 100 mana. This is your next upgrade and a lull spell. This is also required. Gravity Flux is interesting for enchanters at level 36. It is our only AoE damage spell. Increases current HP points by 350, and it flings mobs in the air for 337 mana. I would still recommend getting this for situational reasons, but it is not critical. So if you can't find it or get it, it is not the end of the world. Mind Wipe is an AoE memory blur, 55% chance of making the monster forget you. And it is the first that is a targeted AoE for 100 mana. This is also required. Level 37, Anya's Animation is your next summon pet. Like before, I recommend getting it unless you rely solely on charm, which you also get your next charm spell this level, Cajoling Whispers, up to level 46. This is a required spell. Especially during Classic, every enchanter is basically going to be required to charm. Illusion Drybone. Again, this is a personal preference. Resist magic, increases magic resist by 40 for 85 mana. This is a very good buff, and I do suggest getting it. Shade is an AC buff for 60 mana. I recommend passing on this as the cleric buff is better. Distill Mana is used for trade skills and spell creation for 400 mana. If you want to get it, that's up to you. It's personal preference if you decide to go with that particular. Zurcher Spirit Wolf increases attack by 15 and cold resist by 10. Unless you're meleeing, I don't really see a need for this, but it's again personal preference. So if you do a lot of meleeing for some reason, you could get this. Rampage is the upgrade to Berserker Strength, increases strength by 67, absorb 100% of all damage until 90 damage is absorbed, and decrease agility by 20. This is a good spell, but Rune 3 does absorb more damage, so it is up to you which one of those you prefer using. Just keep in mind that Rune 3 does use a additional component, whereas Rampage does not. Celerity is increased melee haste by 50% for 185 mana. This is a required spell. It takes 8 seconds to cast it, 1.5 second recast time, and lasts for 16 minutes. Next is Immobilize. It is your next root upgrade. It costs 80 mana, takes 1.5 seconds to cast, and lasts 60 seconds. So it's not the best long-lasting root, but it does work in emergency situations, and it is possible to extend the duration later on. Mass Distill Mana is the same as the regular Distill Mana. Art Shielding at level 40 is your upgrade for your self HP buff. I definitely recommend getting that. Incapacitate, decrease agility by 55, decrease strength by 55, and decrease the armor class of the monster you cast it on for 150 mana. This is going to be a required spell, and I would save it mostly for named mobs. Rune 4 absorbs 100% of all damage until 394 damage absorbed for 236 mana. Again, this does use a component along with it, but it is a very good buff. So Rune 4 and Rune 3, I definitely can recommend seeing you use them. Brilliance increases wisdom by 12, increases intelligence by 14, is your another stat buff that will go with clarity. In this particular case, the other one is best to use for Wizcasters like Druids, Shaman, and Clerics, whereas this one is better to use for Intelligence casters like Enchanters, Magicians, Necromancers, Wizards, even Shadow Knights. Shiftless Steeds decreases melee haste by 65%, increased disease counter by 12 for 200 mana. This is also a required spell. Dashania increases poison counter by 1 and decreases magic resist by 33 for 30 mana. This is required. Jaeger Ops Animation is your next summon pet for 250 mana. If you're relying just on charm, you don't need this, otherwise I suggest getting it. Pillage Enchantment is a dispel for 70 mana. I definitely recommend getting that also. Weakness, decreased strength by 65 for 120 mana. And it is a 3.5 second cast time, 1.5 second recast time, and lasts 3 minutes and 54 seconds. This is a good spell, so I do prefer the ones that not only do strength but also do agility and armor class, but it is up to you. It is still a good spell. Color Skew, stun NPC for 8 seconds for 60 mana. This is a required spell, and I will also typically use this in conjunction with the first 2 color stuns. So that way you can cycle between the 3 and keep a stun lock. And that 8 seconds will let you get a couple cast off, especially if you need a recharm if charm breaks. So those 3 I always keep loaded once I get to them. Discordant Mind is your direct damage upgrade at 43, decreases current hit points by 387, and stuns the NPC for 1 second for 126 mana. This is going to be a required spell. Leviathan Eyes is Invisible, Ultravision, and Enduring Breath for 100 mana. This is also going to be a required spell, maybe not right at this moment when Classic first comes out, but I do recommend getting it fairly early on, even though you can wait a little bit if you need to. Purify Mana is the same as the other mana type spells. It's useful for trade skills, but if you're not doing trade skills, you won't need it. Reoccurring Amnesia is a 65% chance memory blur for 100 mana. Takes 3 seconds to cast, has a 24-second recast, and has a duration of 4 ticks. So for this one, instead of it being just a one-time cast, it will basically try for 4 ticks to have the mem blur take effect. Again, very good spell. Dorian Gray is your next charisma upgrade, increases charisma by 40 for 110 mana. This is required. Lure is your next charm upgrade, charm up to level 51 for 245 mana. That is required. Blanket of Forgetfulness is your next AoE memory blur, 60% chance for 175 mana, and it is a targeted AoE. That is also going to be a required spell. Enchant Steel, again, if you do trade skills, you can get it. If not, you can pass it up. The Zurcher Spirit increases strength by 40, absorbs 100% of all damage until 200 damage is absorbed, and decreases agility by 20 for 150 mana. This is a very good spell. It will be up to you whether you use this or Rune 4, but both of those are good spells. Then you get Dazzle, which is your Mez upgrade. Mesmerize up to level 55 with a 41% chance to blur for 125 mana. Takes 2.5 seconds to cast with a 5-second recast time with a duration of 1 minute and 36 seconds. This is going to be a required spell. Gasping Embrace is your damage over time spell upgrade. Decrease current hit points by 113 when it lands, decrease strength by 30, decrease agility by 30, and decrease current hit points by 91 per tick for 150 mana. Takes 3 seconds to cast, 1.5 second cast time, and lasts for 8 ticks. This is also a required spell. Mass Purify Mana is the same as the other mana spells. Deflect the Wind, increase melee haste by 60%. For 250 mana. This is going to be required. Enchanters do get the best haste spells in the game. Enchant Adamantite and Mithril are the same as the other enchant spells. If you trade skills, they're great, otherwise you can pass them. Group Resist Magic, increase magic resist by 55 for 200 mana on your group. This is a required spell. Enchanter's Animation is your next summon pet. For 300 mana, this is required basically if you don't rely on charm 100% of the time. Shadow is your AC self. Basically, it's not self, but you can cast it on others, but it is an AC buff, but it is not as powerful as the cleric's buff. So I would suggest passing on it, but again, this is personal preference, so you can get it if you choose. At level 49, it is just the enchant spells, so those only be useful if you do the trade skills. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to hit the like button, and hope you have a great day. Be safe and stay healthy.